Ghana has just completed a domestic bond revamp, and it's also reached an agreement in principle with bilateral lenders to work some $5.4 billion of loans. It's also been negotiating with Eurobond holders who are owed some $13 billion. Ghana's Finance Minister, Mohammed Amin Adam, who took over from Ken Ofori-Atta in February, believes the country is now on a recovery path, with the ministry forecasting economic growth of 2.8% this year. CGTN's Uche Okoronko met him on the sidelines of the African Development Bank's annual meetings. This is part of their conversation.
Before COVID-19, Ghana's economy was one of the fastest growing economies in the world. We were growing at average 7%. Inflation was single-digit inflation. Fiscals were contained because we met our budget fiscal targets. The city was very stable. But following COVID, and then compounded by the Russian war in Ukraine, not only Ghana was adversely affected, the whole world was affected. We had to borrow and borrow to be able to save lives. And this is why we had to go to the IMF, for the IMF to support a program we developed, what we call post-COVID-19 program for economic growth. Since then, we have been implementing the IMF program in addition to policies that we're already pursuing. The results are looking good. The economy has rebounded strongly. Last year, we grew at 2.9% against a target of 1.5%. And so you can see that our focus has moved from saving lives to now bringing the economy back.
Well, I want to get a sense, as you said, the economy is on a path to recovery now. So what are the fundamentals, though, that are going to drive this growth?
In the area of debt sustainability, you know that we are negotiating with the bondholders, Euro bondholders. We already also negotiating with our OCC, official creditors. And I can tell you that we have moved very fast, and we are very close to ending the negotiation on both ends. We're also very close to ending our negotiation with the Eurobond holders. This year, the figures we are seeing already show that we are likely to perform better than what was projected for the year. And this is as a result of the increased investment in agriculture, in industrialization, but we're also launching a new program, the SME Growth and Opportunity Program, that will mobilize resources to increase financing to SMEs.
Now, very quickly, I just want to ask about debt, because I want to get a sense of how you plan to manage Ghana's debt position going forward to ensure that it doesn't find itself in a similar situation.
This year is going to be that of a difference. We're going to work within the budget, and going forward, we're going to ensure that we do not overspend. We do not engage in extra budgetary spending. Already, we have seen the debt levels, debt to GDP, reducing from about 73.4% the year before to about 71% today. And we are determined to go on that path until we achieve a 55% debt to GDP ratio. Secondly, we have to be aggressive with revenue. We have to mobilize more revenue so that we can finance the budget.
This year's AFDB meeting, we're discussing reforming the global financial architecture. We're also talking about mobilizing resources for Africa's sustainable growth. And I want to get a sense of what are the key issues for Ghana at this meeting.
I think that the global financial architecture is really not favorable to developing countries, particularly those of us in Africa. Because I'll give you an example. The IRENA is International Revenue Agency, estimates that for the last 10 years, 2.3 trillion US dollars went into renewable energy investment. Only 0.4% of that came to Africa. That is just one example of how the architecture doesn't favor us. And therefore, when we even want to borrow, we borrow at higher cost, sometimes 3 times, 5 times what the advanced countries borrow. And so it doesn't help with mobilizing resources to finance our development. Meanwhile, we suffer the effect of what happens in the advanced countries. For example, climate change. We contribute just about 3% to global emissions of carbon dioxide. and yet we cannot get money from the global system to finance adaptation and mitigation measures. I listened to the president of Kenya, President Ruto, give examples of some of the factors that should be considered in valuing our GDP. The natural capital that we have in abundance is not being factored into our GDP. The renewable energy potential we have is not being factored into the GDP. The large tract of uncultivated arable land is not factored into the GDP. And so the size of our GDP really does not reflect the state of our economy. It is also important that we promote private sector financing. Now, sovereign financing is becoming difficult because of perceived risk. I can tell you that more than 50 African countries are debt distressed. And so with that background, we cannot even go and borrow. Even our own regional financial institutions are closing doors to us because of the state of affairs of our economy. And so countries that do not have space, because we are debt distressed, they say that our macro fundamentals are weak. But how do we build an economy? It is these same resources that we will use to build an economy, for the economy to become robust, for us to get a macro economy that is stable, so that we can manage the economy for the betterment of our people.